displays, OLED screens, and our own tracking systems. And we've been using our own kind of custom OpenGL rendering engines over the years since the 1990s. But we're looking at moving to Unity, Unreal 4 now and sharing our models across those platforms. So what you're seeing there is a custom headset. This is the kind of our mission at JSC is to train astronauts in virtual reality in support of the Space Station Program Office. We build up, like I said, the simulations, the tools, the VR, the hardware, and we have robotic systems, mass handling, and we also have one of our big things we train for SAFER, which is simplified aid for EVA rescue. That's the jetpacks on the EMU that the astronauts wear in case they become untethered. So it's not like the movie Gravity where you can just fly around. That doesn't happen. Unfortunately, astronauts haven't had to use that device, but they're always tethered, or on foot restraints. But if something catastrophic would happen, they have to be able to fly back, stabilize yourself, and fly back. And so VR is a perfect system to train on that. We can push them off the station in VR, and they have to stabilize the rotation and fly back before they run out of fuel. We only have about 10 minutes of fuel. There's the team that we have that I mentioned in the VR lab. Just to give you a little history, I said we've been doing this a long time. Kind of our breakout training was the Hubble repair mission. If you remember that, where astronauts trained in that in VR and with our mass handling simulation and robotic systems that I'll talk about. But we supported shuttle and obviously space station. The space station was building up. We were building the models in 3D and rendering engines and providing virtual reality training. Like I mentioned, we've been moving to commercial products now. HMDs, obviously Vive and Rift are the two big ones that we're starting to use, and also moving to Unity and Unreal 4. And we've got a way to export our models like an FDX so that they can be imported into Unity and Unreal. This kind of gives you a collage of kind of the history of our HMDs that we've used. See, back here in the 90s, like this thing here, I think I remember that cost like $30,000 or something. And then we started building up our own with LCDs and LEDs. And then this is our current kind of custom one. We actually took apart two Oculus DK2s, and we used two displays, one for each eye, so it has kind of twice the resolution. And then, like I said, we have our own, in our own little confined area, our rigs where we do the training. We have electromagnetic for tracking the head and hands and body. Again, this is the Vive and the Oculus Rift that you're all probably familiar with that we're moving to now. It gives us a lot more portable, low-cost environment. So I mentioned DUG. That's Dynamic Onboard Ubiquitous Graphics. It's kind of one of those acronyms where you have a name and you fit the acronym to the name. It's got a long story. I won't go into it, but we just call it DUG, and it's kind of our flagship tool. But again, it's cost us a little bit to maintain this, but we have so much built into it with scripts and custom animations, and we do a lot of parallelization of OpenGL. We can render really fast. So we're moving to Unity and Unreal 4, but right now we're still dependent on this, and it runs on Windows or Linux or Mac. We have an exploration version of it that's a little more user friendly, has more Planetary Surface stuff, and that's called Edge. So this kind of gives you an idea of the scope of what we do in the training. With the VR, we have, this is the SAFER training session. So he's got a hand controller here, he's giving jet commands. You can see here he's flying back. And I have some videos, if I have time, I can show you a little bit of this. But this gives you like your velocity vector and where you're pointing your head. Because one of the things the astronauts, when they're training, they look where they want to go, and they'll give it an X. They're looking here, but their body's this way. They're flying that way. So they have to learn to keep their head their body pointed in their X direction. This is our mass handling robot. It has some force torque sensors that reach out in virtual reality. You'll see like this big antenna unit here. I don't know if you can see this. This is the astronaut here. Reaches out, he'll grab the handles in virtual reality, grabs this robot, and you apply the force. And this object moves like in micro G, like a few thousand pounds, and have a real high CG. So if you start to move it, it'll crawl over on you or get away from you real fast. So that's important to train. This up here, the top right, that's Scott Kelly. This is our first VR system. I think we flew this in 2012. We call it laptop on the head. We flew a hooded device and some lenses, and we have a split screen on the laptop, one side for each eye, and then we have a camera on the front that does yaw and pitch. So basically, we use that as kind of a low fidelity tracking system. But we're looking at flying the Rift to upgrade this. As soon as we resolve a few problems, like the Rift and even the Vive have IMUs that depend on gravity vectors. Also has a magnetometer that depends on a gravity field, so they do not work out of the box in space. So we'll have to optimize those a little bit to make them work. This is the astronaut crew in. We also have the robotic, the 7-jointed arm, the SSRMS, the space station remote manipulator system. It's a kind of a complex control system with hand controllers, portable commands on the PC, and you have a display console that we control cameras and do brakes. So this is kind of a little virtual setup where guys over here will be in EVA, VR, and these guys will be interacting with them, flying a robotic arm, handing off payloads, or the astronaut might even be on the end of the robotic arm. So I mentioned our mass handling system. It's called Charlotte because it kind of looks like a spider. It has 8 motors and these tendons that drive this device. And it doesn't have a plate. You put a plate on here and then configure it for whatever handrails or handholds that are on the payload the astronaut's going to be holding. And you calibrate that to the graphics. And this runs a 2,000 hertz physics-based simulation that does gravity, does micro G, has orbital dynamics in it, has the mass defined, so that it's got about a 40-inch area here where it can move in 6 degrees of freedom. And we have 2 of these. There's one here and there's one to the right. And so we have a lot of times we'll have dual mass handling scenarios, like when the astronauts just installed the international docking adapter, which is going to be the docking mechanism for the commercial crew vehicle that SpaceX and Boeing are building. 2 astronauts were on foot restraints, and then they received the docking adapter from the robotic system, and each of them grabbed it on one side, and the other astronaut was on the other side. So we have 2 robots, but same simulation that can handle joint operations. This just kind of gives us some historical data of the training. Now, I can't hardly read this, but these are just general EVA trainings, and this is from 2000 to 2015. You see the brunt of it is this is SAFER, what I mentioned, Simplified Aid for EVA Training. And the reason that is because all astronauts have to be certified on that system before they fly and do EVAs. The other training, this is the station robotics. This is the shuttle robotics. That's why it went to 0. And mass handling is over here. So I mentioned we're starting to good time here. Use some of the commercial headsets. Started with the DK2, and now we have the Rift, and also the Vive. So this is a scenario where we've integrated OptiTrack with the Oculus to do more skeleton tracking of hands and body. And this is actually for HERA, which is Human Exploration Research Analog. It's a big mock-up where we'll be training for long periods of times. And we actually had we're currently doing an Itokawa scenario for that. We have 2 astronauts EVA on the asteroid and 2 astronauts in the cockpit. So they'll be immersed in virtual reality and then working on communication and just human factors and human effects of of doing that for long periods of time. Let me go back. Some of the stuff we're doing with the Vive and room scale, we've got an ISS IVA, which is intra-vehicular inside the space station, where you can walk around and basically teleport yourself inside the space station and interact with tools. And Frank Delgado and Matthew Noyes, and another one of my branches, is doing that work. I mentioned that. So one of the things, when you're in weightlessness and moving around, it's easy to get sick if you're not really moving right, and it's not realistic. So what we have is a gravity offload system called Argos, and we're working on integrating VR into that. So this you could be walking on the moon on 1/6 gravity, or be horizontal in micro G, and this crane system simulates that. So you push off and move around in micro G. So the idea here is we're setting up a HTC Vive and Lighthouse tracking system, and also working on using OptiTrack for even more full tracking system and bringing that. And finally, on this, what we're moving to is green screen technology, chroma key, to be able to mix in reality, and so you can have mock-ups and handrails, and use green screens. So everywhere it's green is going to be, will be your virtual scene, either on a planetary surface or on a space station. A couple slides here, you'll see we're working on actually fusing real-time video with virtual reality, which is a little different than normal green screen stuff. Is usually a third-party camera is showing you what VR looks like to the person who's in the headset. So with that setup of VR Argos that I talked about, we've actually got a distributed setup where this is a scenario where we have one astronaut in SAFER flying around the VR lab. We'll have another astronaut in the cupola, and one flying the arm, and then another astronaut on handrails. So we've got a distributed environment that shares states, and we're running our Doug, we're running Unity, and we're running Unreal 4 to give, in a distributed environment in different rooms, but in the virtual space, everyone's in the same scenario in space for training. So again, here's you're looking out the cupola. You see the SAFER guy. He'll be up in the VR lab, and the guy's flying the arm, and then a guy here on Argos on the crane, and he's EVA on handrails. So I talked about VR full immersion, and we're also working on mixing in reality, mixed reality, or hybrid reality. So you can see here, in space, I'm on the end of the handrail, so I reach out, and handrails are calibrated to line up to real space station stuff. This is our little test bed before I get in the Argos, actually in the gravity offload system. And the hybrid reality, this is where you're in the space station, you have a hand control. It actually has a Android tablet, and you turn off the lights, turn off and on the lights. We're using the hand controllers from the Vive to track those tools or whatever you're working with. Let's see how am I doing on time? 15. Okay, so I mentioned some of the green screen stuff we're doing. This is where I was talking, where we're actually mixing in real-time video from two cameras that are mounted on the front of the Vive, and mixing that into the shaders in Unity. So in this setup, this is the MED, the mini exercise device that's targeted for, it's flying on station now, but using for exploration. So this is an astronaut inside of the Orion vehicle, and you can see here that's the MED device. So in here, you'll be immersed in virtual reality, but everywhere it's green is this, and you look down, you see the real exercise device, and you can exercise and do pull-ups and see how you have to reconfigure the chairs if you have enough room. So this was kind of a volume study that we did that shows you a good use of mixed or fused reality. There's a company in California called SCI that actually can do training like this. they have all custom hardware. What we tried to do was use hot stuff, Unity and Vive and USB camera and kind of patch it all together. They have a custom system where they can actually fly aircraft and do refueling missions in virtual reality. So obviously they have a co-pilot too, but they're actually flying aircraft and they look in the window and they have a way to use illumination to make that virtual. So they see a C-17 with a refueling cone and they'll fly the aircraft up and do the refueling. So it's a real good technology that I think it has a lot of capability to fuse and mix in reality. And this is the same sort of setup here where we have a planetary surface. So you can see here I'm staring at our intern here, and he's on Mars because everything is green is the Mars surface. Now, if he had a green shirt on, he'd just be floating around in the hills. And that's, of course, that's the first thing the interns did. They brought in green shirts. So I haven't really talked about augmented reality. We haven't focused, my group hasn't focused on it. We have another group, Laywong, ER6, and that's doing that for the space station. And there's a couple of HoloLenses already on the space station. Those in ODG are kind of suited for this and for, again, augmenting your reality, right? So you have the HoloLens, it's clear, and it projects holographs on, but it can also build your geometric environment in real time around you, and you can use hand gestures and voice gestures and look at a pump and say, how do I fix that pump? And procedure pulls up, and it can tag holographs over equipment. And we're also using it for help manage the cargo on the space station, because astronauts spend a lot of time looking for something that's bagged up in some compartment. With the HoloLens, they can look at a cabinet or a storage capacity. They use a RFID system and databases. Are losing power to basically help find stuff in space station located fast. This is we just built up this, we call it the PIT, Prototype Immersive. I want to go there. Prototype Immersive Technology, and then it's a pit. It's actually, so we had a raised floor, so we not dug down, but cleared it underneath, and so we have a truss system that goes all the way around. We have 16 OptiTrack cameras, so we can do full body tracking. And with OptiTrack, it uses kind of a passive, just reflectors, and then the cameras do the tracking and send it to software where you can do full body tracking. So this gives us, so we're hoping to integrate this into our gravity system, so you don't have to rely on the lighthouse sensors in the little 5-meter square area. Future work. Again, I've talked about integrating more with Argos. We want to fly some headsets for our virtual reality training on board, more augmented reality, untethered wireless HMDs. I don't know if you all saw the Vive, that company released a little wireless system for that, so you don't have to use cable drag for the HDMI and the USB. Don't know how that works. I think it's only in China right now. But I'll have to see if that works with the right latency. There's one thing that we did do for our Argo system. We use a system by Wirestorm that amplifies the HDMI and USB over up to 300 feet. So we actually got to run it. We want to run our VR system from some high-end computers and run the cables all the way up through the system and down to the guy who's in the rig. And Wirestorm can do that over, it's called HC-based-T. It's kind of a new format. It gets over a Cat6A cable, so you have a little transceiver and receiver that does it. But hopefully wireless VR will be here soon. Again, I mentioned OptiTrack, Lighthouse, hands and finger tracking. We've got our hands on some of those Manus gloves, so we need to move forward with that, and then the real-time green screen stuff I talked about. All right.